All right, welcome in everybody to another episode of the Fantasy Engineers Podcast. As always, I'm Tyler. What's up, Tune?
What's going on?
Glad to be back for another episode. This episode is going to be news notes and then some waiver targets, maybe some waiver drops, some guys who were good streams to start with, guys that are better streams from here on out. So we've got a lot to cover. We're going to try to make this another short video just so that you can get your information quickly. But looking at my list of injuries, we're going to have to try really hard to get this in quickly.
Yeah,
I know your team's been affected by some of these injuries.
a lot of hurt people, COVID, all that.
Yeah, it's a rough start. So I can tell by looking at these players, there's probably a few teams that this is their whole roster. So this is going to be tough. We'll go ahead and start off with some of the injuries that we don't really need to talk about. Zion, Clay, both are still out. We're hoping Zion's coming back soon. Klay Thompson had a little bit of promising news. He said, I'll be back before Christmas. And what they said by that was December 20th. So not a whole lot earlier, but I guess anything earlier than Christmas is earlier. So, hopefully see him back. The Warriors look good without him. Hopefully, they'll look really good with him. Unfortunately for me, that crowds the West a little bit more for my Grizzlies. But we'll see. LeBron, this will be the first one we talk about a little bit. LeBron, with his abdomen injury, he's still out, but they said it's not as serious as they hoped. People were talking about there was a worry. There was rumors going around about a 4 to 6 week timeline, but it really sounds like he'll be back after this 1 week.
I think that's real good. I saw a report on a doctor, the apparently old Lakers doctor, that came out and said that the injury at minimum was like 4 to 6 weeks, and he thinks LeBron's case was more severe. So seeing the reports today on LeBron, it not being that severe, definitely good news for my Lakers.
Yeah, for the Lakers. And kind of wondered, how did that doctor know? Was he just trying to get some clicks?
Trying to get some clicks, for sure.
But, it kind of seems like that's how the Lakers are going to play injuries this year. They're going to be pretty careful because they have a good team, and they don't want to get to the playoffs with injured players. So, hard for fantasy, but you can't blame them.
Yeah.
Another big injury news that just came out, Michael Porter Jr. for the Nuggets. That was already a team that's already struggling with injuries and people out. His back is acting up again. We know this is the famous back injury that dropped him so far in the draft, and it was so brutal coming out of college trying to let him play. They have talked. So originally they said he was out for the foreseeable future, which made it sound like I wouldn't count on him for weeks. And then all of a sudden he was just supposed to be questionable for the next game. We're getting a few mixed signals out of there. How serious do you think this is going to end up being?
I think it's very, very serious because when he was coming out of college, this was the same injury that the doctors told him he'll never be able to play basketball again. Mm-hmm. So the fact that it's now coming up again kind of concerns me. It kind of gave me hope when Malone said that he was questionable. So he must have been practicing and playing, but then the doctors came back and said no, he should just sit out. So maybe they're either trying to figure out what's going on, or it's just they're trying to take it slow and just not be too serious about it. So
yeah, it probably should, considering that they were worried he wasn't going to get to play again. Anytime he has a back injury, they should probably take some serious precaution with it to make sure that it's completely healed up before he comes back. Hopefully he's good to go because that team is needing some scores, especially with Jokic missing a game there.
We're getting that one too.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's signed to a max too, I think, is a huge reason why he's not playing as well.
He's still really young, even though it kind of doesn't feel like it. He is still young, so they need to take care of him. Jaylen Brown, this hurts your fantasy team. He's out with a hamstring. It's what they said, 1 to 2 weeks, right?
They said 1 to 2 more weeks, but hamstring's never good. Hamstrings come back quickly all the time, but the fact that they said 1 to 2 weeks was really promising. So hopefully he better return. Not sure how it's gonna be for him in the future now. Celtics aren't doing that great, but they aren't afraid to load manage. We saw that with Kemba last year. So new coach though, so we'll see.
Yeah, and I think in all my history of playing fantasy sports, I've noticed that hamstrings seem to be the ones that are the easiest to come back if you don't take care of them correctly. So, as a fantasy manager, yes, you want him back, but this is early in the season still, so you really want to make sure they take care of this so that when he comes back, he's 100% and you don't have to worry about re-injury.
Yep.
They can linger. So you hate to see a hamstring injury. Hopefully he comes back quickly. We got some other people we'll kind of breeze through. Ayton's with a lower leg injury. He was out for a little bit, came back, went back out.
Yeah.
So they're kind of hazy with how serious this actually is. It still sounds like he's just questionable every game, so maybe this isn't a big deal. It just sounded like a bruise, but it's kept him out for more than I would think. Brandon Ingram's out with a hip. He's been out for a little while. So, without Zion, without Brandon Ingram, they're hurting, which actually led to Nickeil Alexander-Walker falling out tonight on my bench. So thank you for doing that while on my bench, Alexander Walker. Appreciate you. Karis LeVert had a back injury pop up, which is not great. We just had a viewer ask us a question about a trade with LeVert, and we told him it was a good trade to get LeVert. And now we are sorry to report that LeVert's on the injury report. They haven't released yet how serious it is, so we don't know a lot. But it's not a great. I think he's had back injury history in the past. Hopefully, this is just something quick they're getting taken care of.
Yeah.
But the one I really want to zone in on for a little bit, because this will have something to do with our waiver episode. Colin Sexton has a torn meniscus. A torn meniscus is usually a pretty serious injury. It can have a long recovery timeline. It also depends on how they decide to deal with it. Surgery can put you out for months. You can try to rehab it depending on how bad the tear is, and so his immediate future is pretty uncertain.
Yeah. And it's already a rough situation for him because he was already fighting for that extension spot. So, those rumors of him getting traded, rumor of him getting an extension. I did read that I think there's no report out yet, but he's like indefinitely out right now. But I did read that it said 4 to 6 weeks potentially. So, for owners, that's on the better side. Be able to get him back in 4 to 6 weeks because it could be a lot longer than that, 2 months or 3 months. So, if that's the case, but right now, with that being said, that opens up a lot of opportunity for some of these Cavs players, Cavs guards to back up. So,
yeah, and they, like you said, he kind of felt like the odd man out right now. It seems like the front office was exploring getting rid of him, and then for him to have this happen, it really sucks. What do you recommend though for fantasy managers? 4 to 6 weeks with a guy like Colin Sexton. Is he worth taking up an IR spot? Or do you drop him? I mean, I know if you have no one else on the IR, that's fine. But if you have to have a decision between two IR guys, do you keep Sexton for 4 to 6 weeks?
I honestly say no. I mean, come from my perspective, Sexton wasn't playing as a rosterable player already. So the fact that he's out now just makes it even easier to make that decision. In my head, even if he comes back and he's healthy again, I wouldn't pick him up right off the waivers. He's not like a must pick up in my opinion. Until he starts getting games under his belt. I mean, Ricky Rubio's playing better him off the bench. So it's like there's better options on the Cavs. Like, it's not Colin Sexton what he saw last year, but, maybe he's just going through a slump. So
Yeah, because he looked good last year. He looked like someone who definitely should be rostered this year. Rough start for him. But we'll find out. But, if you decide to drop him, you can blame Dotun if he comes back strong. And
I'll take that blame.
All right, we'll try to go through a few of these faster here. Tyrese Halliburton's out with a back injury. Wendell Carter tonight just got poked in the eye, it seems like, has some sort of eye abrasion. So he left in the third quarter, I think, and he's already listed as out, so I don't know how long that'll be. PJ Washington's still out with an elbow. Brooke Lopez has been out with a back injury for a long time now. They keep listing him on every game as questionable and then out. And so I don't know how long that's supposed to be. Seth Curry's out with a foot injury. That's only a big deal because they are currently dealing with a whole bunch of COVID over there in Philadelphia. So Seth Curry was a leading scorer quite a bit. So that hurts them. Bogdanovich for the Hawks. That was an ankle injury. Still no word on Jonathan Isaac returning from his knee injury. I know he was a serious injury, but hopefully we'll hear some news soon. I have him currently stashed on my IR spot just because I have no other people to go on the IR, but feel free to drop him if you need that IR spot. Dylan Brooks returned tonight from a hand injury, a fractured hand. Looks really good, actually, so this might be a time to check your waiver wire there. Get into that a little bit further into the episode. And then honorable mention Markieff Morris is out with whiplash.
The fantasy steal right there.
Yeah, the fantasy steal. I just thought I had to throw it in there since it's kind of news going on in the NBA. But we'll move on. The people who are out with COVID right now, we'll kind of go through them. Embiid, Middleton, Tobias, Jakob Poeltl, Markkanen, and Kevin Love all out with COVID. None of those guys are seemingly coming back immediately. Tobias and Middleton, I think, would be the ones coming back first. We'll see, though. And then still no word. Ben Simmons has reported to the team-appointed therapist, I think, is what they said. So he would stop getting fined. His whole thing sounds like he didn't want to do what they want him to do, but he'll do just enough to not get fined each time. They try to find ways to fine him. Hopefully, this whole ugly thing gets resolved soon, and we have news about where Simmons is playing instead of telling you about which therapist he's attending. Kyrie Irving's still out, and the new mayor has now made it seem like he may not reverse the rules that would allow Kyrie to play. So I wouldn't get your hopes up again. And then Jokic is out for one game because he did not like how Markieff Morris politely fouled him in the middle of the game. So that will be a one-game suspension. He'll be back quickly. Do not drop him for that one game. All right, that is the news and notes section. So now we're going to get into our waiver pickups. A lot of the waiver pickups have to do with these injuries. So how about you kick us off, Toon? Who's some waiver guys that you're looking at right now?
Oh yeah. So yeah, the main thing about the waivers. I mean, one one of the things that Tyler probably agree with me when playing waivers, the people want to look at is situations going around the league, whether it be injury, health concerns, COVID, suspensions, any of that, and along with people who are just playing well as well. So you want to play around people who are out. So we just found out that, like we talked about, a lot of Sixers players have COVID currently. So Embiid, Tobias, Joe, and it's a long list of them, many of them. Tybull. So the solid option, the backup in Embiid with a former All-Star, Andre Drummond, and he's probably taken a lot of leagues, but surprisingly on ESPN he's still 52% rostered, which is really surprising, seeing how big of a monster he is when he gets.
He was just an all-star, and his starter goes down, and 52% roster. Come on, guys.
But to be fair, he was playing with Embiid out there, and those some games he was getting 5-10 minutes, not getting no playing time. So I guess it makes sense. But I thought I would see that number jump up, exponentially. Once
I was expecting to see it in the 90s.
Yeah. So Drummond, it's a chance he won't be available after his last two games. He's had two monster games, almost 20 rebound games. So it's a good chance he's not available, but definitely go on your waiver wire and check it out. Then the second one was Tyreese Maxey, another player on the Sixers, second-year guard who's really trying to prove to the Sixers that he can be their point guard in the future. I think they're still talking about Ben Simmons, but he's trying to show them. Last night he had 31 points, so he's really out there playing great. He's the facilitator for the team right now, along with Shake Milton. So definitely someone to look at if he's still available, him or Shake. Definitely take a look at him. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you're saying there is that Philadelphia just has a ton of opportunity right now. Ben Simmons out, Embiid's out with COVID, Tybull's out. Slipping my mind right now.
Tobias.
Yeah, Tobias is out. So just somebody's got to score. Somebody's got to play. We had this happen last year. Remember when Maxey was a fantasy stud for like a week?
Yeah.
When their entire team went down with COVID.
They had 6 people playing.
Yeah, they had 6 people playing, and I actually picked up Maxey that week, and I had literally a first-round player. He was getting 40 fantasy points a night just because there was no one else to shoot shots. So what we're saying, there's plenty of opportunity in Philly right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Another guy I like on the waivers, close near and dear to my heart, Dylan Brooks. He for the Grizzlies, he came back and he looked good, and he immediately came back to the starting rotation. He is the only thing you have to worry about with the Grizzlies is their coach loves to spread the minutes around, and they have a lot of guards now.
Yeah.
He likes to try to put Dylan Brooks in that small forward position, so that it helps with his minutes. But with Desmond Bane playing incredibly well, Kyle Anderson needs minutes. They're trying to get Zaire Williams minutes. And even D'Anthony Melton. It's hard to find. This will be someone that's worth, I think, picking up for a little while. He's always going to be a consistent scorer. He doesn't give up a lot of shots. He still wants his shots, and he's good on defense. This situation, we call him a waiver because I would be hesitant coming up toward the trade deadline. I think Memphis can make some moves with the amount of depth they have this year, and I don't know if they will use big pieces like Dylan Brooks to try and make a splashy trade, or they may trade some of the background pieces for picks and future assets. So something to keep an eye on, though.
Oh yeah, definitely agree. I love Dylan Brooks. I love his defensiveness. As a player, he's great, and seeing him come back. This is as of this video, November 10th. So his first game's looking great so far, so definitely look forward to him. But like I said, he could get moved. Other players can get moved and create opportunity for him. So definitely something to keep your mind out for, or keep a watch out for.
Yeah. I
Who?
think another one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was like, who else you got on there?
I think somebody else that I actually like, because we talked about how Brook Lopez is still out. Bobby Portis is actually getting to
Huge.
play a lot of minutes right now
Huge.
because of Lopez being out. And they've also, I mean, they've got Middleton out. Giannis, I think, was questionable a couple games, but he's played anyways. But either way, they've given Bobby Portis some minutes. And, ever since they went to the White House, they're calling him Bobby POTUS now. You see that? Another great
I don't know.
name.
I don't know if it's they or just himself is calling himself that. I saw him tweet that.
Yeah. I don't know who started that, but he's loving the nicknames for a guy who's really just been, no disrespect, but just a mediocre player. He sure has a huge following and tons of fan support and great nicknames. So Bobby POTUS, he's putting up some double numbers right now. Really active on offense, so he gets a lot of opportunity right now. So as long as Brook Lopez and Middleton are out, Drew Holiday I think just came back. I think he might have. Was there another injury that he sustained, or maybe they rested him? I'm not sure.
Oh, he played yesterday.
Did he play?
They're playing again today. I didn't check if he's actually playing today. I think he's good. I think he's out.
Okay.
He's out there playing.
Either way, they slowly bring those guys back. Portis will probably shift back to a secondary role. He might still be, depending on how deep your league is. Like if you've got a 12-team league that's, maybe 20 roster spots, 20 bench spots. I've seen some crazy leagues like that. He's definitely someone to keep because he's a high energy guy when he's out there and he's gonna have explosion games. But I like him right now for the opportunity he's got with all the Bucks that are out.
Yeah, most definitely. Especially with Giannis being, drawing as much attention as he can. I mean, he's just kicking out the Bobby Portis and he's just knocked down.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Bobby Portis is usually not a center of defensive schemes. So.
Yes, exactly. So this next guy I have he's kind of relying on some of the things we talked about. MPJ currently out indefinitely. Don't know how long he'll be out for, and Jokic out for So this necessary pickup won't help as far as today since Jokic is out just for today. But Will Barton, his every year he always seems like a solid option. He'll always have 1-2 months where he just goes off and then he seems to fall off. But currently he's going through that stretch where he's going off right now. So he's available in a lot of leagues. With MPJ out now, that gives more opportunity. There's a little bit more usage that needs to be spread across the Nuggets. So with him and Murray now out, it gives Jokic, someone else to pass to. Murray's high on rebounds, high stat sheet stuffer. So it's a great thing you want in a fantasy player. So if he's out there, I definitely think that's someone that's definitely worth grabbing as of now. Especially until they get some of their key players back. But even still, he could still be that guy. So something to watch out for.
Yeah, tons of opportunity there. Unfortunately, that's how waivers seem to work at the beginning of the season. It's all about injuries, and towards the end of the season is when we actually get to see new guys getting better opportunities, especially after the trade deadline. But a guy I want to mention who maybe I actually kind of want to do a 2-for-1 here for the Warriors. Gary Payton right now is playing really well. He's loving his opportunity. He plays incredible defense, so it gets you those great stocks. He has a pretty good role in the offense right now. Clay will come back, so I think he is just a waiver move. But there's nothing wrong with playing a player while he's hot. If he's making shots, getting steals, getting blocks, ride that high, and then when he sucks, drop him. So it's not like you can get mad at somebody it can win you a week if you have a guy who has 3 good games in a row. That can win you a week off the waivers. So Gary Payton is someone I think you can pick up right now. The person I want to pair him with is Jordan Poole. Still not incredibly high rostered in a lot of leagues. So there's a chance he's out there on your waiver wire. He's playing pretty well right now. He's still in the starting role. And we'll see if that sticks, with Klay Thompson coming back. But until then, Gary Payton and Jordan Poole, guys, you should probably keep an eye on.
Definitely agree. I like Jordan Poole. I like the confidence. He reminds me of a mini Steph. I mean, he just jacks them up. His shots are never as good as Steph.
He
but
takes shots.
He takes
That's
shots.
The name of the game in fantasy.
Oh yeah, you want people with volume, and he's not afraid to shoot them. So yeah, Jordan Poole is definitely a good option. With Klay Thompson coming back, we don't know how that'll affect him, but definitely a good option as of now. Another person I wanted to add with the Cavs, Ricky Rubio. Talked about him earlier. Ricky Rubio's been enjoying the opportunity. I mean, he just had it seemed like, I don't think it was a career high, but it seemed like a career high game with 37 points and 7 for 7 from three. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But with the lack of shooting guards that they have currently, I mean, they have Garland who's playing 35, 40 minutes a night, and now with Sexton out, they're looking for more players to assist and score off the bench, and Rubio's definitely stepped in to be that guy. So
it makes me so mad because I had Ricky Rubio in seasons past, and he would have stretches like this.
Yeah.
And then he would just go and get injured so often to the point where I kept calling him Rickety Rubio.
Rickety Rubio.
And I would get so mad. And now to see him doing this again, I do not have him this year. Someone else has him. So we'll see if he keeps up this pace, and hopefully he won't let down fantasy managers again this year. But yeah, you're right. They're letting him run the offense when he's on the floor.
Oh yeah. And shoot, I had one last and this is more of an honorable mention. Honestly, keep a lookout. Definitely don't go grab him now unless you just have a really good team and you have a really big lead. But someone I would be looking out for right now, who I believe is on the trading block. The Kings are weird, but Marvin Bagley. He's proven in the past when he plays is a great fantasy player. But right now it seems like he's having a lot of struggles with the team, with the coaches, with the leadership in the Kings. So look for him if he gets traded. I've heard the Bulls are interested in him. A lot of different teams. If he's one of those guys, he gets 25, 30 minutes, he can really produce and be a roster player. So he's definitely someone, if you see a trade go out, I would rush to go get him and just hold on to him for just a little bit of time and see how he does.
Yeah, see how his foot holds up too, because his foot last year was just detrimental to his fantasy value. You could not get anything going because of it. But I think it was 2 years ago, right, that when he was playing in our league, at least, he was putting up like 30 fantasy points a game.
Mm-hmm.
Easy doubles, tons of blocks. Like he's a good player. There's a reason he went so high in the draft. Should he have gone above Luka? No, but he is a talented player, and he's someone that you keep an eye on. It really depends on the situation too. I wouldn't be so excited if he goes to the Bulls, having to play on a team that plays with Vucevic, DeRozan, Levine, and Lonzo.
Yeah.
He probably will be fine, but I'm looking, if he goes to a team where there's immediate need for his offense,
I'll be really good.
I'd be real excited. I think my honorable mention, which is not really a waiver wire ad anymore at this point, he's still available in 20% of leagues, so go check just to make sure. But Cole Anthony is absolutely balling out right now.
Let's go. We got into that kid, man.
I know. It's so funny. He struggled so bad at North Carolina. He just fell down the draft boards. Someone took a chance on him.
He's a league type player. He's a forget college.
Gosh, dang. He's so. And it was funny is, I'd like to pretend this is what I meant. And I think you actually are the one who said it. When we were doing our draft episode, I was talking about Wendell Carter versus Mo Bamba, and I didn't know which one to pick. And I said, keep an eye on the Magic, though. They've got a lot of young players. You said, I think, oh, yeah, also they got Cole Anthony, who played pretty well at the end of the season. I said, oh, yeah, he's playing well. They got Jalen Suggs, too. So I think you called this more than I did. I'll give you the credit for it.
Oh, yeah.
But we did say that the Magic didn't have any standout studs and a bunch of young talent. Someone was going to have to ball out, and it seems to be Cole Anthony. So good for him. Hopefully you got him on your team.
And if not, you check the waiver wire. He might just be available. But I do want to just take some time to say that's the first time Tyler's ever gave me credit on anything I've done. So I'm a soak in this moment.
Oh gosh, you want to just take a break real quick and bask, and I'll just do the rest of the podcast.
Yeah. I might just need to just call it tonight and just go pour me up one. Just have a good rest of the night.
Oh gosh, don't let him do that to y'all. I compliment him all the time. I think so highly of my co-host. Otherwise, I wouldn't be risking my podcast with him. No, I'm just messing with you. So that's some of our favorite waiver pickups. Do you have anybody that's kind of like you were thinking of as a waiver at the beginning, or maybe like a sleeper at the end of the draft that you've decided it's time to cut bait and move on?
Kevin Porter Jr.
Gosh dang, I was hoping to do that because I did it last night. I think I was big on Kevin Porter Jr. I drafted him super high because I knew you were going to steal him from me. I was so excited. Oh my gosh.
And the thing about it, him and Jalen Green, they're both still young, right? They just now John Wall's out for a season. They have the opportunity. So I mean, I'm not going to say it's over for them. They're definitely just not performing. So I do think it's time to, if you need to, play the waiver wire, it might be time to cut them. but keep a
Yeah.
close eye on them because I mean it doesn't take nothing for them to turn it. It's only 10, 11 games into the season right now, so
Yep.
it doesn't take that much time for them to cut it back on and start hitting shots. I mean, Joan Green had 23 and 6 tonight, so I mean it's one game, but
Yeah.
it could be the start of something. It will also
You know,
get Cade Cunningham, so
yeah, yeah. It really feels like Kevin Porter Jr. had like this big chip on his shoulder last year, and he just used that as fuel the whole second half of the season.
mhm.
And then it kind of feels like this season he's come out and he just doesn't have that same motivation.
Yep.
So I decided to check because I watched tonight the Pistons played the Rockets,
Mhm.
and they had it on ESPN because it was first pick versus the second pick. But it also meant we were watching the 1-8 team versus the 1-9 team. So thrilling basketball. But I was just watching the Rockets, and they looked so lost out there. Like their offense was so terrible. So I decided to do a little digging into their stats. It's like, how are they doing so bad? Why is Kevin Porter Jr. not doing any better? And so the first thing I checked was pace of play, because I was like, maybe their pace of play is low and they're just not getting volume. They're the second highest pace of play in the NBA,
Wow.
which you would think means they're gonna have fantasy producers. Except for then you click on turnovers. They are leading the league in turnovers by a lot. They're averaging 17.2 turnovers a game as a team. The next place team is averaging like 15 and a half. So they're averaging almost 2 turnovers a game more than anyone else in the league. And then if you look at their like effective offense, their like the number of possessions they actually turn into points, it's the fourth lowest in the league. So they're having tons of possessions that they're just tossing away, whether it be with turnovers galore or just terrible shots. Like that, it's not going great. I don't know if it's going to take like a coaching change, mentality change. I know it's a lot of young guys, but the Rockets are a team that was exciting to me, and now they're just worrying based off of those statistics. So
Yeah. It also scares me about Christian Wood, and this is part for another day. But do they load manage him going in the future? I mean, he's on contract, so what's the point in playing him
yeah,
if y'all gonna be that bad? But
I don't know because they also said John Wall. They said they don't think they're going to be able to trade him. Duh. They don't think they're going to play him. So they're in full tank mode, which
yep.
fantasy players hate it, fans hate it, but you might as well, if your team's going to be this bad, you might as well go get the number 1 pick or try to. So you can't blame them for doing this, but they're a team that's kind of not exciting for fantasy right now. So
Hey, the fans.
anybody else you were looking at?
Shoot, that's just about everybody. I know we listed Give It to People. There's
Yeah.
many others. If y'all know any, ones that we didn't mention, make sure to drop them down below. Let us know. If there's anybody who wants to talk about or are curious about, drop it below.
Yeah, if you have a question about a guy on your team that you're wondering whether or not you should drop, put them in the comments. We'll try to. I think Dotun's actually been great lately. We got 2 comments, so we're making it big time now. But Dotun has been responding to comments as fast as he possibly can. So yeah, put it in there. We'll try to get to you within just a short amount of time. Tell you what we think about who you should keep, who you should drop. But I think that's it for this episode. So thanks, Tune, for your diligent research. Appreciate you.
Anytime.
And we'll look forward to talking to y'all again soon. Until next time.